Welcome back to The Long Run with Sean Bell. Today I'm introducing an exciting new segment called The Warm-Up, inspired by Mark Howard's player profile from one of my favourite podcasts to listen to while I'm running, the Howie Games. Before each long-form conversation, the warm-up will be a quick-fire round of fun, running-themed and personal questions to help you get to know the guest a little better before we dive into their full episode. Giddy up. Giddy up! Mate, we're on. It's time for our second podcast because I'm a bit of a nuffy. And take two of The Long Run. Welcome, Lachy.
Yeah, it's good to be finally back for another long run. It's our second long run without any Ks.
Mate, well, when you can't actually go for a long run, I thought, why not do it twice? It was so good. Let's do it again.
Sounds like a plan, mate.
Nah, mate, welcome. It's good to have you on. I think I'm really keen to unpack your story, and I know that it will help a bunch of people. Obviously, your story within running and outside of running, it's transformative, it's inspiring, and we're going to rip in and have a good chat today.
Sounds good.
Firstly, mate, this is a new segment or a new episode style, if you like. I've been a long-time listener to the Howie Games and big fan of Mark Howard and what he does. And he does a player profile episode for every guest. And ultimately, he asks them the same questions. And obviously, then you can compare different answers with the guests. So I think it's a nice little segment that I wanted to introduce to the long run. Mate, welcome to the warm-up.
Okay, do some stretches, bit of dengue rub.
Yeah, welcome to the warm-up. So, what's your nickname?
Sunshine, actually.
Sunshine, why? Why Sunshine?
Remember the Titans? It's an NFL movie, and the quarterback was Sunshine. I got at my first rugby session, and that's how a lot of my friends know me.
Okay, unreal. All right, Sunshine. Trail or road?
I like the notion of trails, I really do, but I'm a road runner. I live in the city, so I don't venture out of that too often.
Yep. Quality session or long run?
Long run.
Yeah.
Always. Just more and more Ks away from the demons.
Yeah, true. Well, that goes to the next question then. Running fast or running far? I assume far.
Yeah. I don't really enjoy fast running. I only enjoy it because it's so much suffering in such a condensed period of time. But yeah, I definitely like running far.
Me too, mate. The long run. Sunrise or sunset run?
I would have to say really early mornings, even before the sun even rises. Like, I think that little period where you're able to get that work done, especially when you feel like everyone's asleep, you kind of feel like you've just gained a little bit more. Like maybe it's a 1.5x or 2x on any other work you've done because everyone else is asleep. A little cheat code.
Yeah, I like that. And just like it's so peaceful, there's no one around.
Yeah. Exactly.
Running solo or running with a group? I think I know the answer to this one.
Solo. Yeah, like it's nice if you have the right community of runners, and that's what I love about running. It can be whatever you need it to be in terms of solo community exercise, but I'd like to just run on my own.
Listening to music, podcasts, or nothing at all?
Nothing. I've got enough stuff rolling around in my head. I don't need music. I used to, but no, it's definitely just me, myself, and I.
Yeah. Negative split, even split, or positive split your races?
I think they start slow and they get slower. So what's that?
Well, it would be a positive split, but yeah, just not very fast.
Yeah.
I love that. Favorite post-run feed?
Where I used to live, there was this place called Fat Fish, and I'd get a large salmon pack with crab claws and other pieces of fish and just go a bit nutso on that and maybe have a protein shake and a beer.
I love that. It sounds unreal. Best place your feet have taken you so far?
That's a good question. I mean, like my run was cool, but like a lot of it was just on the highway, which is kind of boring. When I was in overseas in South America earlier this year, I did some running in Argentina through there, like through Patagonia. That was really cool.
That would be unreal. Dream race anywhere in the world?
Moab 240, just to go across like almost an entire state, like through there. I think Moab would be really cool to one day do.
Did you watch the documentary King of Moab recently?
No, I haven't watched that. I've watched a YouTube doco on it, but I haven't watched that.
That's unreal. Watch that. Worst race day blow up story? Do you have a good one?
Not like too bad. I've just had little instances. Like I think the first time I tried the Morton 320 drink, I just had way too much carbs and my stomach wasn't ready for it. So I just had tummy issues. I didn't full on shit myself, but I was pretty close a few times. That was at Gold Coast 50. Probably the morning of my run, I always had the same breakfast with a large bowl of Greek yogurt, protein, oats, banana. So just carbs, fats. but I did a different type of protein than I normally use. I didn't think anything of it, and it just turned my stomach because the yogurt was like clumpy.
Oh.
And as I was eating it, I got near the end and threw up in my mouth. I was like, oh, that's not a good sign, and just turned my stomach. So I was on liquids the whole first day, which had never trained for. So I was like, fuck, you fucked it on the first day. So yeah, probably that, I guess.
So subbed out the protein powder, I'm guessing, on day 2?
Yeah, I started just doing honey and rice, which
Yeah.
that was a one from Chapo, my nutritionist, which really helped because it just clogged me up. Something you probably could have tried, and it's just this massive bowl of carbs, which you could really easily get down.
Yeah, very cool. We'll unpack that a little bit more in the main episode. Do you have a go-to mantra or words that you tell yourself in a race?
No, I have a tattoo on my finger which just says "love yourself," and I think it's very easy to want to try and do that. Like in those moments where you're hurting so much, I know what it feels like to not love yourself and be in situations where maybe it's not as hard as a run, but I'm doing a lot more damage to myself. So yeah, in those moments where I'm really struggling, I just know that although I might feel bad, I'm actually loving myself and I won't quit.
Yeah, that's unreal. Love that. Favorite non-running hobby?
I actually really like playing around with a Rubik's Cube. That's something I picked up recently, and then now I can actually solve it one-handed. So
That's insane.
yeah, I'd say that.
That's really cool. Could you do like, I don't know, create an FKT where you have to run X amount of Ks while solving a Rubik's Cube?
I thought about doing it at the city's backyard, that every lap you have to solve the cube and see how long you have the cognitive brain power. I'd like to maybe do that one time when I can stop being a little coward at backyards and put in a good showing, but I think that'd be fun.
What's your next big running goal?
Next big goal, I would say, not specifically just running, is to be, I believe, the first person to ever join the 555 Club, which is something that I've coined, but I think that'd be my next goal.
We will expand on this in the main app, but in short, what is the 555 Club?
It is to deadlift 500 pounds, to run a sub 5 mile, and then to run 50 miles, all in the space of 24 hours.
Love that. Look out. Who's your favourite athlete of all time?
I'm actually a cricket nuffy, and I love cricket. And Steve Smith is someone who I love just sitting down and watching him like crack out 100. In terms of like athletes, I'd say he's probably not built like an athlete. I've heard that his training in terms of his body shape isn't the best, but he just has amazing hand-eye coordination, and he has a really strong work ethic for his batting, as everyone can see. But yeah, I'd say probably Steve Smith.
Smudge. We love Smudge. What's your biggest fear, Locke?
Ooh, I don't really have a lot of fears in it, because my biggest fear was never becoming the person I knew that I could be, but I didn't really think that was ever going to come to fruition. So I think like whether you get to your final form, whether you believe that exists or not, I don't really have that fear now because I know I'm trying to. So not sure, maybe just commitment, maybe that. Commitment.
That's a great answer. I remember once being interviewed on a podcast, and the host said to me, "Are you like happy with where you are in life?" And I said, "Yeah." And he was like, "Really?" And he was surprised that I was content. And I said, "Well, just because you're happy with where you're at doesn't mean that you're not striving for more. You're not striving to continue to be better, but you're proud of the transformations that you have made." And I think it's very similar to like that whole notive of "I'll be happy when." If you're not content in to some degree with where you're at, then how do you continue to pursue? And I think that I love that you're proud with your journey so far, but you've got a long way to go with the things you're after, which is unreal. And I
got
love
a long run to go.
What's your favorite childhood memory?
There's a lot of like my mum would always do. Just, when you come home and she's baked fresh cookies and things like that. And then on like Easter, she would always have chocolates laid out for me and my sister in the house. Like little things like that. It was really lovely childhood. Spent a lot of time on my grandparents' farm, which was nice, like living in the suburbs and then in the city. It's obviously very different to then getting up to Taree and going on a black cattle farm. So that was cool, like having that sort of contrasting environment and just going out in a paddock when no one's around you. That was kind of really nice upbringing.
Beautiful, man. Beautiful. And last question of the warm-up is what's the best advice you've ever received?
Best advice I've ever received? It's a good question. I'd say a lot of the best advice I receive cognitively now is probably from myself, because I spend a lot of time running on my own. And I think especially with this like influx of social media influencers and whatever, you have all these people and you're kind of waiting for them to sort of tell you what to do or waiting for them to give you this inspiration. And I was running one day and, you know, have all those demons in my head, and I sort of like, don't sit around and wait for someone else. Like, I'm my own inspiration every day. Like, from where my life was headed, the path I was leading, and to where I am now, like, I'm that inspiration, and I can be. If you just go out and do the things you say you're going to do, you're your own inspiration. So doing that, being my own inspiration every day, wanting to be better.
I think, yeah, a lot of people are always looking for that inspiration outwardly. And, you know, I can't remember who said it, but it's that my role model or my inspiration is me in 10 years.
McConaughey.
Yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool. Well, Sunshine, thanks for jumping on the warm-up. It was great to have you. The main episode will come out next week, so giddy up.
What's your nickname? Sorry, I didn't ask that before.
Mainly just Shawnee, Bally. When I was very young, Ding Dong.
Ding Dong.
That's pretty common, I guess. My first email address as a 9-year-old was dingdong_Sean@hotmail.com. I don't really have too many nicknames, but yeah, there might be one to come. Maybe Tony the Turtle. Yeah. Okay. Big thanks to Working for lending me the podcast space, and to you for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review and share it with others. If you're chasing a long-distance running goal, whether it's your first half marathon, an ultra, or even a multi-day expedition, I'd love to help you get there. With Sean Bell Run Coaching, I create personalized programs based on your goals, experience, and lifestyle, helping you enjoy the process and stay consistent. And if you're after a keynote speaker who brings big energy and real impact, I'm here to deliver. I speak to businesses, schools, and sporting teams to help them giddy up and level up. For me, giddy up meant running around Australia in record time. But for your team, it might mean taking ownership of their health, stepping up in their career, or having a conversation they've been putting off. If I can go from a football bench warmer to a running world record holder, what's possible for you and your team if you're prepared to giddy up and level up? You can find everything, run coaching, keynotes, and more at SeanBellRuns.com or on socials at SeanBellRuns. Giddy up. Giddy up!